Welcome to Real World Christians. Thank you guys for tuning back in. I really appreciate y'all. Basically, the goal of this channel is just to spread the peace and love and truth of Christ. So, today's topic is on addiction and how to overcome it. How do we do that? Because even if you don't have a drug or alcohol addiction, there's addictions of many kinds. They take many forms. So let's dive right into it. Drink your water. Stay hydrated. It's important. Your body is a temple. Take a sip of water with me. Let's kick it off. So, what is addiction? According to most psychiatrists, as well as Psychology Today, Harvard Health, and Psych Central, addiction is a chronic dysfunction of the brain system that involves a number of contributing factors. To name a few of these, there's stress tolerance, personality makeup, and social environmental factors. So basically, whenever they say chronic, a lot of people misunderstand that word or don't know what it means. Basically, it's something that's been going on, persisting, usually a pretty bad issue or disease or whatever, for 3 months or more. And it's an ongoing thing, right? So a lot of depictions of addicts are misrepresented in media today, unfortunately. And they always show the desperation behind the drug and having to go back to the drug and choose it, but they never show the reasoning behind it, right? Or they never show how addicts get out of it. I mean, they might show that, but they never show the reasoning. So let's kind of dive into that and figure that out. It's not a lack of willpower at all. I've met other addicts and people in my life that are some of the most hardworking and determined people. So it clearly can't be that. Basically, all addiction is it's a response to human suffering. And some people might have all the want to in the world. They might want to quit, and they just can't without outside help. And that's kind of where God steps in. But I'll get to that later on in the video. Somebody's phone is going off, and they're not answering it. Woosah. All right. 3 main stages of recovery in a nutshell is basically 1, I can't use or drink or whatever. You realize that your life is falling apart whenever you're on it or using whatever. The second one is that I don't have to drink. You start to realize that, hey, I can feel peace and satisfaction without this. There's other ways. I don't have to do this to be okay, because the devil lies to us constantly, and he's patient and always waiting right outside our door. The third step is I don't want to drink. That's the final step where you kind of move on from I don't have to drink, and you realize that you don't have that desire anymore, because when you're in the second stage, you still might have those temptations and desires, but once you move on to the third, then you realize you really don't have to, you don't want to. Some people deny the fact that addiction is a disease at all, and I don't believe that, because it shows all the symptoms and characteristics of a disease. So to counter that, let's analyze 5 key components of disease in general, and then compare addiction with one of the most well-known diseases, cancer, that unfortunately has affected many of us in some way, shape, or form. If not us, then somebody we love or somebody we know. So the first characteristic is it's symptomatic. Disease is symptomatic. Sooner or later, the symptoms are going to reveal themselves, whether external, where other people can see, or internal, within our own minds and our own souls, and something that we're trying to feel. Symptoms of cancer is fatigue, that's often chronic, unintended weight fluctuation, skin changes, persistent cough or trouble breathing, swelling or lumps in the body, changes in bowel or bladder movements. Anyone who knows an addict or is one can testify that many of these symptoms often present themselves in drug addiction as well. So, we have to be careful, not to limit the umbrella of addiction to just drugs and drug addicts, because it affects all of us, whether we realize it or not. People can become addicted to anything, whether it's lust, work, illegal drugs, the gym, caffeine, sleep, gambling. I mean, I could go on and on. The list is really endless. Moving on, the second component of characteristics of disease is that it's progressive. Like cancer, if addiction is left untreated, it gradually and unfortunately sometimes rapidly becomes worse, right? Now, as we discussed before, this is the third characteristic. As we discussed before, disease is chronic. In other words, it's persistent, patient, and it doesn't discriminate based upon religion, sex, race, or anything else of that sort. So, it's like I talked about before, it's constantly waiting. That temptation is constantly waiting. It's so patient. The fourth one is disease, again, if left unchecked, is often fatal. Addiction often leads to treatment, hospitals, institutions, or worse, death. The fifth and last characteristic of disease is and this is the good news, the good part, is that it's treatable. Many people with addictions have sought out help from outside sources, realizing they simply were unable to quit their addictions on their own. The vast majority of these people that have been successful in overcoming their addiction for a year or longer keep God at the epicenter of their recovery, right? So how can we best utilize God's gifts of wisdom, discernment, and strength? I mean, how do we do that, right? It's got to be a complicated answer to it. There's really not. So I covered this some in my last video. It's simple. You have to simply run to Him in everything you do. Make that spiritual connection. Stay in pursuit of Him by praying, reading scripture, filling your mind and spirit with good things, and loving other people the same way that He loves us. You need to have the same grace and mercy that God has given us, or at least be in the best attempt in pursuit of it that you can, because it's impossible to get to that level. I mean, He's God, He's perfect, right? So, let's see. What does the Bible say about addiction? Because, a lot of people don't even realize that there's stuff in there, and there's all the knowledge that we need in the world in there. We just have to find it. And we have to, take certain things that other people take out of context and actually use it how God intends it to be, read it for what it is, and then relate that to our own lives, right? So just to give you a few examples, 1 Corinthians 10:13-14 says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." James 4:7, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." 1 Corinthians 6:12, "I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything." This gives us empowerment and control over it. Some more examples: Titus 2:12, James 1:2-3, Hebrews 4:15-16. It goes on and on. There's a lot of examples. It actually surprised me how many there were as I was doing research for this video. Basically some advice for family and friends attempting to help others in addiction, like I said I would cover. And this is going to be a short video because it's a lot of information jam-packed, and I try to condense it. And also, I'm tired, and this is my 5th video attempt with other people in the house that probably don't care, but that's cool. It's all right. So, people just aren't aware of those things, and it's also unfair for me to be like, I'm doing a video, so y'all got to shut y'all's lives down. That's not realistic. But basically, the best advice that I can give for family and friends that are trying to help other people that are in drug or alcohol addiction or sexual addiction, whatever, gambling, it doesn't matter. Everyone's recovery is different. It all looks different. And, what specifically works for one person might not work for the next. And so you can't just put everybody into the same box. It's not possible, because all of us are different in every way, shape, and form. Even identical twins differ, right? Nobody on this earth is exactly the same. So you need to educate yourself on a subject of addiction, and also different ways how to overcome it, right? You have to be supportive without enabling. That is very important, okay? There's a fine line in between support and enabling. So, and that looks different for everybody, right? You have to set boundaries with those people in your life, because if you don't, they will continue to use you if they know they can, right? Because even though addicts are sick, it's a disease, right? They're sick. They don't do these things intentionally, and it's not truly who they are. It's not a good representation of who they are whenever these other things take over. It's almost comparable to like a demonic possession, right? They no longer have control over what they do, even though, a judge might say, oh yeah, they're sane, they're not convicted, or they're not criminally insane, right? But in a way, you are. Whenever you're in active addiction, you are. So another important thing is to take care of yourself too. So many people, like some of my family members in my life, some of my friends, they have just poured all their energy into it and trying to fix me. But until that person is truly ready and done with the addiction, then it's pointless. You can't wear yourself out. You can't kill yourself from stress just because of somebody else's problems, right? We want to help because these people are sick, but you have to take care of yourself first. You have to fill up your own cup before you can pour into others. I love to say that. I love when that saying is used because it's so true. You have to have yourself better first. And that might seem selfish, but it's not. It's not selfish, because you have to do that in order to take care of other people, right? So another thing is encourage treatment and encourage seeking God. Put God in the forefront of their mind constantly, and eventually it will get through. The Bible says that seeds that are planted will not go without bearing fruit. It might not be today, it might not be next year, it might not be in 10 years, but there will be changes, and there will be things that you will see in their lives that you never even thought would happen, and you never thought that 5 years ago could affect them now positively or affect other people around them positively. God makes gardens from graves. He literally turns graves into gardens. He makes the most beautiful outcomes out of the most horrendous situations, and I've seen it time and time again. I'm seeing it in my life right now, how I've already been able to help reach other people and guide people just from God's wisdom and the knowledge and discernment that He's given me, and it's a beautiful thing, really. The last thing, have patience. If you love these people, have patience, and don't give up on hope, no matter what. No matter how long it's been, no matter what has happened specifically in these people's lives that's also affected you and your other family members, friends, whatever, do not give up hope, because my God is a God of miracles. That's really all I have to say on the subject. That was a lot of information. I encourage you guys to leave any comments, questions, announcements, celebrations, prayer requests, anything. Just talk to me down in the comments. Let me know, and let me know if you guys enjoyed the video, if you guys want to see something different, something new, something I can improve on. And I'm trying to improve videos every day. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed day, night, whatever it is for you, wherever you're at.